That has nothing to do with the Bible, though. I don't understand.
But my offer still stands.
Yeah.
My offer still stands.
Because you're a flim-flammer. I'm not going to take your offer.
You'll come see me personally.
You came here to get $5,000. That's what you fucking came here for.
No microphones. Yeah. Just you and I talking man to man.
Scary. You're a scared little man. And that's the problem. Just like the
He's
folks
not.
at
He's
Harvard.
sat here and he's been talking to you for 30 minutes.
No, he hasn't been talking about the Bible. He doesn't want to talk about the Bible because he can't.
Okay.
Just like the people at Harvard can't. What is a Christ, Bob?
You know, at this point, we don't need to know about your masturbation practices.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars.
I'd like to say a prayer.
Please.
Let's do it.
Okay?
Please.
Let's say a prayer.
And I would like to put some holy oil on you when I pray.
You can take that holy oil and shove it in your ass, Bob. I'm not one of your victims.
Wait a minute. What'd you just say?
I'm not one of your victims.
No, that's
you
not.
Hit me with
just
your
before
cross,
that.
You psychologically abusive.
Why is the holy water psychologically abusive?
What did you just? I could do with this.
He said, "Put the water where the sun doesn't shine."
Do you know what this is a symbol of?
I think it's a symbol of your
the Holy
desire
Spirit.
to invade my space, weirdo.
It's a symbol of the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And you said I could shove it where?
What's the word for Holy Spirit? What's the word for Holy Spirit, Bob? You don't even know that. You're a flim-flammer. You have any snake oil?
So extremely exciting podcast that we got to see. Welcome back to my channel. If you're returning, if you're new, I would appreciate a subscription. And those of you who like these videos, if you put a like on this, it helps out quite a bit. So anyways, the video, the new podcast released by Danny Jones. We have Bob Larson and Ammon Hillman. They went toe to toe, I guess you could say. Clearly, Ammon Hillman won. Bob, I give him a lot of credit for coming on, and I actually kind of like Bob. I don't think I didn't hate the guy at all. But I thought Ammon didn't get too out of hand with anything, and he basically did back to Bob what Bob was doing. Bob did a lot of projecting, honestly, a ton of projecting, and I think he missed the point on a lot of things. So as I continue to make more content and videos on this, you know, this past year I've really dove deep into just the origin of mankind, looking at the Bible, looking at so many different things, and it seems all so connected, or you can take a little bit from one thing and connect it with something totally different. And you know, that's why with someone like Ammon asking direct questions to someone who should answer these like these thoughts that we're all having, it was pretty telling. I guess maybe Bob wasn't the right person, and I'm sure there's much more qualified people than Bob Larson to have these discussions with Ammon. But Bob did what I said in that last video everyone does to Ammon. Basically just attacks his character, attacks certain things. You'll see through this video how he asks just random questions after Ammon asks something pretty direct that should be easy to answer. Things like, where are you from? What's your name mean? Who published your book? You'll see through this video.
Who published that book?
Who published Chemical Muse? Was it Macmillan?
It's Macmillan now, but originally it's St. James. No, what's his name? It's a saint.
What was the name of the publisher?
Yeah, I'll think of it. Oh,
Steve, Google it.
Thomas Dunn Books and St. Martin's Press.
St. Martin's Press.
Yes.
Okay. Just curious. No.
Why is that relevant, though?
Well, it's very relevant.
I'm curious.
Because that's not a respected Christian publisher. But what nationality are you?
Oh, God. Just a mixture. Just a whole bunch of some Dutch ancestors, some German, some Scottish. I don't know. People just loved, man.
Dutch, German, Scot.
Yeah.
Is that basically it?
No, supposedly there may be some native in there as well, but you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's, to me, as an exorcist, consistent with what you're telling me.
How so?
No Scandinavian, though.
Well, thank God he doesn't have the Vikings you did.
Yeah.
By the
How
way, I
so?
should have had you break that curse.
He also brings up something really interesting about asking Ammon, where are you from, like, heritage-wise? Like, your nationality, he asked. He's like, what's your nationality? I thought that was interesting when he went into that. I'm going to put my DNA on the screen. I did this a while ago. It seems to have changed over the time. I did Ancestry. Must have been 5-6 years ago. But my DNA is scattered just a lot of different places, a lot of different regions. And the bulk of it comes from, this area of history that we're also interested in. And, I've heard so many different stories about even just thinking about something like the Iraq War and when we went to go get Saddam for weapons of mass destructions. I want to play this clip here that has to do with John McPhee, I believe his name is, and talking to Joe Rogan about Saddam and how he surrounded himself with Christians.
His tailor and his butlers and Saddam's inner circle was all Christians. Fucking every one of them was a Christian. And Saddam believed that Christians, if they martyr themselves, go to hell. Muslims martyr themselves, you go to heaven.
Right.
So he surrounded himself with fucking Christians. So his tailor, his butlers, his jawalas, all those guys, they're fucking washing his ass, feeding this motherfucker. We're all Christians. And it's why Christians flourished in Iraq, which they're, I'd hope all these guys are still alive, but the reality is like ISIS probably fucking got rid of them after Saddam was gone,
Yeah.
ISIS killed so many fucking Christians, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they were all Christians. And so his...
I think it's so interesting, that period of time and how information is suppressed. Just with that big political story, just war, thinking all the way back, this part of the world has had so many things happen, and you look at history and all these people that we watch on these videos on YouTube, and it does seem to go back to this specific area of the world. You look a little bit, what would it be on the map? Right in the map to Turkey, you have things like Göbekli Tepe. You have things like that structure that was just found on Mars. Mind-blowing. That's a structure. So when you can't answer very basic things in these religious debates, it's not answering the questions that a lot of us have, that the timeline doesn't quite make sense. And with my journey of just looking at origin and mankind and whatever you want to call it, I've been digging deep into Sumerian lectures, Sumerian text. Irving Finkel, I've been watching his videos like every night, and it's like I feel like I'm in a Harry Potter room, like in Hogwarts, when I'm listening to Finkel. Very interesting. And it's the oldest writing. No, if you think of Sumerian writing and the cuneiform they wrote on, I saw a couple numbers. I saw TikTok videos and shorts. So I saw a video once say there's 500,000 cuneiform tablets, and like 1% of them is actually transcribed. So if you think of something predating the Bible, and Irving, I'll say this one, I was going to make a whole nother video on this guy. And you know what? I don't want to get too off topic. I'm not going to actually go into that. I'm going to just continue with the Ammon and Bob Larson. And then I'm going to finish that video on itself, because it's another reason why I'm digging into all this. So this is their first interaction. Bob Larson talks a lot in the start, and then this is their first interaction. So he basically calls Ammon possessed.
Okay. I want to ask you if you think, based on everything you've learned about Ammon and listening to the podcast, do you think that he is truly possessed by a demon?
Unquestionably. So I think what we're talking about here, in my estimation, is an exorcist, is that the occurrence that he had just described was not as epiphanous in a negative sense as we might think of it. It was the end result of a process that was intergenerational and probably going back to these ancestries. And there is something highly sexualized and debaucherous back there that was looking for a way to work itself through. And it found a victim, and he was that victim. And unfortunately, he did what he did. But I would
I'm
like
not
to
victim,
say,
Bob.
I want to make one.
People experience
I have
this
a question. I have a question from the devil. The devil keeps telling me, Bob, he keeps telling me, yeah, but the problem is Bob has never read the Bible. I tell all my seminarian students when I was teaching at a seminary, I told all of them the first day of class, I said,
Oh, sorry. Hold on. Put that right there.
oh, is this a hearing device?
Yeah,
Sorry,
he has
Bob.
trouble. No.
Sorry. I tell my seminary students the first day of class, you've never read the Bible, and they all give me a dirty look, Bob.
Well, I know where you're going
They all
with this.
give me a dirty look. Well, let me go there.
Well,
I'm a classical philologist.
Why go there? I know
Bob,
where you're
this
going.
is why the Harvard people won't come. I am a classical philologist.
I know what you are. Watch the videos.
And you have never read the Bible. Tell me what a Christ is.
Okay.
What is a Christ?
I'm not going to tell you that.
Because you don't know,
No,
Bob.
no. Wait a minute.
What is a Christ?
Wait a minute. I did not agree.
How is he supposed to believe? If you don't know what a
did
Christ is
not
or what a
agree to this.
gospel is, that's why the people at Harvard
And
wouldn't
I
come.
will either get up and walk out of here.
Okay, why? Because cowardice? If I am possessed,
Let's be
you
respectful.
should not.
Let's be respectful.
No,
and
he
debate
just-
the text.
No,
Okay,
no,
okay,
he's
we
not.
we got
He's-
to be nice to each
Okay,
other.
I'm
We got to
sorry.
be nice.
Say, he says many times through this interview, like, you can't have a reasonable dialogue with someone like this. You can't talk to someone like this. But if he starts right off the bat saying Ammon is possessed, that puts a dialogue in his own head, his own perception of Ammon, that, he's basically projecting everything in this conversation. Like, you can see everything he says, and he's doing it himself.
That's the only way this is going to happen.
Understood.
Okay.
Now,
Let's just discuss the facts, the texts, and everything we're here to
Okay,
discuss.
fine.
And let's not call each other names or be rude.
Thank you, Danny.
Okay, is that
Say
okay, Bob?
too, Danny Jones did a great job with just bringing him back in, calming the situation down if it got too hot. He did what he could considering the situation.
That's what I
I know
talk
what
about.
you've done.
I
I
want
know.
to talk about the Bible.
I
Bob.
just would like to suggest
Yes.
that to really have a candid conversation, no cameras, you get in your car and drive down to Phoenix,
Yeah, but that makes you look like a coward.
and I will be happy to spend time with you. Normally, we ask for a donation to help cover my
Of
staffing
course,
and
because you're greedy,
facilities.
Bob. It's flim flam.
But
You got to be nice. Listen.
I will
God,
be
you
happy.
Oh, God.
I will be
Put
happy.
the devil back.
I will be happy to provide you with a complimentary exorcism session.
No, thank you.
But
I don't have a demon,
but
Bob.
wait a minute.
I wanted to talk about the Bible. I don't have a demon. I'm
Which
not
would
here
be-
First of all,
to talk
wait.
about a
We
demon.
have to appreciate the fact.
I think it's insulting just to say, I'm going to offer you a complimentary exorcism. That's crazy. Ammon is saying he's not possessed. Most people are going to say Ammon is not possessed. I don't think Ammon is possessed. That's just kind of like a deflection to just skip his question and ask if he wants an exorcism. He does that basically through the whole interview.
Ask him
Do you
kindly
think
what
it's
your question
possible?
is.
Do you think
As a
it's
human
possible?
being,
When Jesus was arrested in Gethsemane with a naked kid screaming, "I'm not a child."
we know
or
what you
lace
think
days.
about. Okay.
Could it be that he was
listen,
actually?
we both have
I'm
turns.
about 30 seconds from walking out of
We
here.
have to take
3 to 4 different times he will say, I'm about to get up and leave, threaten to leave based off questions. He's trying to ask questions, and he threatens to leave.
That's reasonable.
Okay, go
when
ahead.
Jesus Christ was arrested in Gethsemane at 4 a.m. with a naked boy screaming, "I am not a child," or lace days in Greek, could it actually be, Bob, that he was doing creepy things?
Bob, the stage is yours.
Are you suggesting that Christ was a pedophile?
No, I'm saying.
Are you
text-
saying that he was a pedophile?
No,
Are
I'm
you saying
the
that?
text says that Jesus
Are
Christ.
you saying that Christ was a
No,
based upon
I'm
what
not.
you think the text said.
I think what
I'm
he's
not.
saying is no. He doesn't believe that he's not stating his own beliefs.
No, I
what
have
he's
no
saying
arguments.
is he's
Yeah.
repeating.
I'm not interested in arguments. I'm saying
okay.
the text. I want the real Jesus.
That
when Jesus
is
was arrested,
intellectual dishonesty, and you know it, and you're not going to overpower me the way you normally do people. It's no wonder nobody wants to talk to you.
Well, the whole lay stace question, Danny Jones does a good job bringing this up multiple times. He deflects every time with the word lay stace, it seems.
To anybody.
have you read this, Bob? Have you actually read the Bible?
Okay. You're just a broken record.
No.
You
I want to talk
you do
about
not
the text.
possess the. You honestly don't possess the intellectual latitude to move outside of a predetermined frame of reference where you can beat your drum, and I'm not going to buy into that. Okay, you're not.
Is that me or the
Amen.
demon?
Why are
not-
you questioning?
Yeah.
Why are you questioning whether or not Bob has read the Bible?
Because-
what do you think?
because-
if there's something, if there's possible that he missed something, what do you think that is?
You know, because Bob does what Bible scholars always do, and New Testament theologians, divinity degrees, they don't have access to that ground-based material.
and you're referring
it's
to the original sources.
to the philology. They don't have access to the text.
Well,
right?
what
When
we
you
have
talk
here-
about-
Okay, hold on.
What we have here is you against the world, you against 2,000 years of church history, you against the most esteemed scholars in the world, and quite frankly, I don't think you match up, and I'm not willing to have that debate because it's a dishonest debate.
What's a Christ?
in
Can
my
you just tell me
opinion?
that?
Okay. No, I know where you're going with that, and there's no point.
Why,
of
Bob? You
translations
tell,
you're
every,
asking- you're
no, you
asking
tell
about
everybody
this.
what a Christ is. You
So-
just converted this
Just
man.
really projecting, like I've stated.
the Hebrew scriptures as well as the Septuagint.
Do
which
you
he
read the
disdains.
Septuagint, Bob?
And so, as a result of that, over and over,
Do you
which
actually
is,
read the
which is
Septuagint,
which is
Bob?
intellectually dishonest.
Do you read the
What
Bible
I would
or the
like-
Septuagint?
What I would like.
I know you're going to get up and leave because you're a
What-
coward.
what-
but the devil
let
asked
him
me to ask you,
Okay.
have you actually read the Septuagint?
If I hear one more ad hominem argument, this
Who
is
do you
over.
think you are?
Okay.
You want to walk out? Take the money and walk. Take it and walk. You're a coward. You don't read these texts, and people just like you are afraid. The head of Dallas Theological Seminary's Greek program wouldn't come here, Bob, and sit where you are.
May I
because
ask a
none
question?
of you actually reads ancient Greek.
May I ask a
Yes,
question?
Yes, it's your turn. It's your turn.
You are a self-confessed former Christian.
Yes.
Okay.
I think the $5,000 donation is very interesting. I'm sure Bob Larson's time actually is pretty valuable. I've seen him pop up before on just my algorithm. You know, I see people interviewing this guy. So I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. But for the sake of Christianity and wanting to spread the word, needing a $5,000 donation just to come, even if it's a donation for the church, that says a lot. You know, Ammon doesn't monetize anything. He doesn't ask for money. He gives his stuff away for free. It's hard to think like the motives are the same when those are the two situations that are happening. He is asking for $5,000 to come on. Ammon is doing this for free.
Thinking about when I
And
was
so,
reading Aristotle.
That was an abrupt U-turn.
No, absolutely not. It was not that sophisticated. I was sitting there reading Aristotle, and I realized the beauty and harmony of the universe.
Okay.
And the first thing I said, I've got to go get laid. And I went to a bar and I picked out the first girl that was good looking. And I said, you must take me home and you must fornicate. And she said, great. I said, I'm a virgin.
Are you being facetious or truthful?
Absolutely not. I just take you to the bar that I went to.
No,
It's a
no.
country western bar.
Wait, you.
Oh yeah, you talked about this in the first podcast.
Wait. You had this a moment, and you did what? You went to a bar.
You decided that you wanted to
And
get
got
laid.
laid.
I understood the beauty, and I realized, holy mackerel, I want that beauty. I was a virgin, Bob. You know how it is when you're in the church. You got to keep that virginity going, right?
Can you just Now stop editorializing and give us some facts here. You went to the bar.
Yeah, Your Honor, I went out and I got laid because I was 21.
Can you hear him okay?
It was not. No,
Aristotle.
It wasn't. It was Aristotle. You went to the bar.
Yes.
And then you went and got laid.
Yes.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Okay. All right.
The part with Aristotle and Ammon having his epiphany, I just think it's funny. I think this part made me actually like Bob a little bit, even more. They found a common ground a little bit too when they talked about J. Vernon McGee. I did look this guy up. Nothing too crazy on him. Just seemed like he was someone who really believed in God, and he stuck to his values. He strayed away from the Presbyterian Church. But I thought that was interesting. They found common ground a little bit on J. Vernon McGee.
Well,
and then was there something about your first sexual experience, losing your virginity, that had something to do with this?
Yeah, it didn't feel guilty. It felt good. And
Okay.
I thought,
Were you? Let me ask you this. I don't know the answer to this.
Well, hold on.
Were you a virgin because of your devotion to?
Definitely. I've listened to J. Vernon McGee. Do you know J. Vernon McGee?
do I know J. Vernon McGee? Bless his dearly departed soul. Of course I know who he was.
Yeah.
So you.
What a man. That was a man.
Well, yes, he had a lot of theological prejudices, but that's not the issue.
He was not a pervert, though. That guy was straight up.
Guilty as charged.
Of what?
Of apostasy. That obviously.
But with demon or not?
Obviously, in my opinion, you turned. You made a moral U-turn. Huh. Remember what I said earlier? People don't have as much of an intellectual objection to the gospel as they have a moral objection to the gospel. I rest my case. You had a moral objection, and you decided to go down that path, which was contrary to the path that preceded you.
Correct.
To which you were very devoted.
Oh, God. I used to jerk off and get so depressed because Jesus was watching me jerk off. And I knew it was bad, man. I knew it was bad.
Did that affect you? Like, did
wait a minute.
Did that
have every time I was coming home from college and I looked up at the billboard, they had
at this point, we don't need to know about your masturbation practices.
Well, he was saying that. I think the reason he was explaining that was because he felt like he was sinning by actually going out and having sex with a woman. So he had to masturbate, and he felt. He said, I think what he's expressed, he felt guilty of that.
Okay.
Yeah, the guilt of
so
masturbation.
Finally, you dispelled that guilt by going out and having sexual intercourse.
I dispelled it all night long.
And
so did that make him...
You sinned?
Like, so my perspective, and I think a lot of people listening to this, hear the history of the word laestes and the translations of the word laestes, which Julius Caesar famously called the guys that kidnapped him, the pirates that kidnapped him and held a ransom for him. He crucified them and he called them publicly laestes, right? These guys were people who kidnapped a child, Julius Caesar when he was a child. So when you see Jesus saying, being caught in this scene in the Bible in the public park with the kid, and he goes, I'm not a laestes, I'm not a laestes. And then 8 hours later, he's crucified. Which is what happens to people who are kidnapping children.
That's the gospel according to Ammon.
No. But that's the true history of what happened with Julius Caesar.
It is not the true history.
That's not what happened to Julius Caesar?
Why don't you consult independent scholars about those questions?
I have. I've asked independent scholars about the history of Julius Caesar.
Now, you've asked them to be on your show. But
No, this is off the show. This is private conversations I've had.
No, okay, well, I always suggest that you do that. So, as I understand, were you dismissed from Dallas Theological Seminary?
No, I left.
So, Bob deflects again.
Where did the name Ammon come from?
My uncle's name is also Ammon, his first name, so I don't know. Yeah, I really don't. Well, there's a bunch of immigrants from Europe, man, from all different places. I have no idea. No idea.
Where he brought up Ammon's name was actually interesting. I know he was asking Ammon a lot of questions, but that one does seem relevant. I thought we all kind of learned something with that.
That somebody who claims to be following Christ, who suddenly throws that overboard for Aristotle and a night of hot sex, is really not credible.
That's what you're basing credibility on?
Yeah.
You realize he can't read
So
this
my-
book.
my-
you realize
my-
he can't read this. This is
my-
Greek, Bob. Would you like to translate for
my-
us? Here. Here's the
Oh, let him
Bible.
go, let him go.
It's
My
the Bible,
original-
Bob. The devil told me to do this. It's the Bible, Bob.
He thinks
Can
the
you
devil's
read it for
talking
me?
to him, Bob.
Watch people. Look at your audience.
He's
Bob,
not talking. He's manifesting demons.
You don't want
He's
me.
manifesting
you
demons.
don't want to play this, Bob. Don't let Danny show the world that you cannot read the fucking Bible. You flim-flamming. That's from the devil. He
That's
said,
not from
make
him,
sure
that's
and
from
get
the
the
devil.
flim-flamming. Make sure and get the flim-flamming. And he said something
listen,
about the incubus in your
You're
wife,
digging
too.
your hole deeper, Ammon. You really maybe should stop.
Oh, God. You're
We
afraid.
have to get to
I
the
do
bottom
have a
of that.
question.
They're afraid.
The
you
people,
know,
they're afraid.
We're doing this to learn. I think we're learning a lot.
May I ask a simple question?
Sure.
Is Ammon your christened name?
It is my third name. It's my second middle name.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Just curious.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
Where do you think it comes from?
What makes you curious?
I don't know. Maybe the Ammonites. You
The
want to tell
Ammonites.
this man what the Ammonites were like, what they did?
Ammonites lived in the region of Ammon, which corresponds with modern-day Jordan. They are first mentioned in the Bible in Genesis, where it is said that Ammon was born to a Lot of his younger daughter after the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Historically, they appear prominently from around the late 2nd millennium BCE. They worship Moloch. That was pretty interesting too, that name came up. I think a lot of us have heard the name Moloch, often associated with child sacrifice, though the practice is a subject of debate among scholars.
They're all going to be, but everybody's
I've
biased.
asked people who are in the middle of this, though, people who aren't on the religious side, people who think Ammon is full of shit. I've talked to people who think he's completely full of shit, and I asked them about this history of Julius Caesar and crucifying Laestace and the word Laestace being used, and they can agree on that. They don't necessarily agree with his theories, but they do agree on that principle.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's what I'm just asking. Do you understand my position?
I
Why I'm
understand
skeptical?
your position. You're not a Greek scholar.
Do you understand why I'm skeptical, though? How can I be a great scholar?
I
I'm
understand
not-
that because you've been tainted by him.
Hey, now you're getting aggressive.
Okay.
I love it, Bob.
And he's
Bring
not.
it. Let's talk
And
free.
he's not credible.
Oh,
Okay.
So he does have a PhD in classical philology.
Well, but he appears to, and he,
Or I thought that is pretty funny that he was getting pissed a little. Said, "You're not a Greek scholar." What else did he say? You're tainted by him.
Bob, that's the point the devil
I
was
can't
making.
see it. I can't see it.
Read
What
it.
is it?
Read it, Bob.
Well, I can't read it.
Read it.
It says Medea.
Right, that's Greek, Bob.
And why is it there?
What is the one on the other side?
There.
That linear B?
Yeah, this is linear B. Medea, same name. And this, Bob,
And
is
why?
Etruscan.
And wait a
Oh,
minute.
God.
How
I'm
is
not-
Medea
I'm
the
not-
first Christ?
I'm
Can you
not-
explain how Medea was a Christ?
Diodor Siculus, the historian, comes along. And
I
he
told
says,
you
this is
if
what
there were
Medea
any
did. She
more ad
Christed.
hominem arguments, we would be done.
You just talked about my tattoos. You're
Okay.
such a hypocrite, just like the Christians
no,
everywhere.
But you didn't
A
deny
lover
what I
of
said
lies.
about. You did not
You love
deny what I
lies.
said about the tattoos. You didn't deny it. So look.
What if I picked out your ears and I said, "You
Why
bigoted
don't you,
bastard"? You take it personally, Bob.
Why don't you let me say a prayer?
You can say a prayer all you want.
I would like
I'm not
to.
restricting you.
I would.
What about medicine?
Okay, that is tattooed on his head.
Did you know the word medicine comes from
the
Medea,
guy-
the first Christ?
Who tattoos this on his head stands in judgment of Christ as a file. I'm done. I'm done. I don't have enough Celsius to keep going. Queen of Babylon,
Yes.
the fountain of all witchcraft, Babylon.
The Medes.
Babylon, the great is
followed her.
fallen. I'm
Yes,
sure you
I'm
know
telling
those
you,
words.
yes.
Yes.
Yes, you're right.
Babylon, the symbol of ultimate evil.
The witchcraft, the sorcery, the porneia.
And that's
Very
what,
central.
And that's basically what you have on your head.
Not basically, that is what I have on my head.
And you think we can have a reasonable dialogue? You really think that?
Why does that mean we can't have a
You
reason?
are
I think this is fascinating.
And the last point I kind of want to touch on here is, the Medea, the tattoo on his head, the Lady Babylon talk, all that at the end. I did dig a little bit here and look at, like, is there a comparison between Medea and Jesus? Just, I know, totally different things, but just listen to some of these similarities and also think about how that Sumerian text is so old and not translated. You think of Epic of Gilgamesh, you think of the flood story. It's just the timeline of things are very hard for some people to grasp, and that's me myself. It all doesn't make sense when you look at everything in this world and what is in the Bible. I'm not saying the Bible should have everything written down and what we see now, but the things we find, and even to that Mars structure, we don't know. We just truly don't know. But listen to some of these things. While Jesus Christ and Medea from Greek mythology come from entirely different cultural religions, the narrative context, there are some thematic and symbolic similarities that can be drawn when analyzing their stories from a comparative or mythology perspective. Jesus, born of Virgin Mary, though divine intervention by the Holy Spirit. Medea, while not born in the traditional sense, Medea is the granddaughter of the sun god Helios and possesses magical powers from birth, setting her apart as semi-divine. Power over life and death. Jesus, known for miracles like raising Lazarus from the dead, healing the sick, and ultimately his own resurrection, underscoring his power over life and death. Medea, known for her magical abilities including rejuvenation and bringing the dead back to life, though these acts are more manipulative and benevolent than Jesus' miracles. Jesus, his life and death are seen as a sacrifice for the redemption of humanity, offering salvation through the crucifixion and resurrection. While not redemptive in the Christian sense, she makes sacrifices for Jason and later for revenge, showing a complex narrative of love, betrayal, and vengeance that leads her own form of redemption and redefining her life away from Jason. Transformative and transgression. Jesus, his life story involves transformation through baptism, transfiguration, and his teachings often challenge societal norms and religious laws of the time. Medea, her story involves personal transformation from the helper to victim to avenger, transgressing against societal norms by killing her children, all under the guise of a complex moral justification. Use of rituals, symbolizing his body and blood for spiritual nourishment. Medea engages in rituals involving magic, including a famous scene where she rejuvenates an old ram into a lamb, symbolizing rejuvenation but in a more literal magical sense. Suffering and betrayal. Suffers betrayal by Judas, leading to his crucifixion, which is central to Christian theology. Medea suffers betrayal by Jason, who abandons her for another, leading her to enact revenge. Influence on society. His teachings have profoundly shaped Western culture, ethics, and religion. Medea, her story has been influential in literature, especially in exploring themes of revenge, love, and the role of women in society. So I know that they're kind of opposites of things, but it's just the idea of stories all kind of being used at different times. And I'm going to make that video on all that Irving Finkel stuff I've been watching, because I do think it's relevant. It all connects to all this. But yeah.
That has nothing to do with the Bible, though. I don't understand.
But my offer still stands.
Yeah.
My offer
Because
still
you're
stands.
a flim-flammer. I'm not going to
You'll
take your
come
offer.
see me personally.
You came here to get $5,000. That's what you fucking came here for.
No microphones.
Yeah.
Just you and
No
I talking
microphones.
man to man.
Scary. You're a scared little man. And that's the problem. Just like the
He's
folks
not.
at
He
Harvard.
sat here and he's been talking to you for 30 minutes.
No, he
He's
hasn't
been
been talking
talking.
about the Bible. He doesn't want to talk about the Bible because he can't.
Okay.
Just like the people at Harvard
I am
can't. What is a
not-
Christ, Bob?
You know,
My ending thoughts are: what do you guys think? Who do you think won that debate? Clearly, I think Ammon won that. I'm really looking forward to see who the next person is. But yeah, leave a comment. What do you think? And the comments you guys left last time, I learned so much through the comments. Actually, I did a bunch of research on things that you guys are saying. So I do appreciate you guys hitting like, subscribe, and letting me know what you think. So I hope you have a good rest of your day.